Turns out our Democratic Party is willing to do bipartisan compromise, when in fact the Republicans are never willing to do bipartisan compromise, but the Democrats certainly are. And they're not there to do bipartisan compromise for good things, mind you. They're there to do bipartisan compromise for bad things. The Senate is advancing the Laken-Riley Act as we speak. Let's take a look.
The Riley Act is one step closer to becoming law. The Senate voting today to advance the bill, which would mandate federal detention of undocumented migrants accused of theft, burglary, assault.
Accused being the key word here, ladies and gentlemen, accused. Not just simply arrested or convicted, accused, okay? As in, I think that you, a brown man, stole something.
Kelly Beeson is in the newsroom with more on this.
Yes, so Nicole.
No, there's no more habeas corpus for undocumented migrants once passed, okay? That's it. And what are you going to do about it? Are you going to take it up to the Supreme Court? Do you think this current Supreme Court is going to actually entertain that notion? For years and years, I have said that the Supreme Court is inherently a political institution. Any sort of like John Roberts take on trying to overcome the political biases or the political nature of this institution is simply to try to make it seem like a legitimate non-political body. The Supreme Court always has been and always will be a political instrument, a political institution that will go along with the needs of whichever party appointed them initially. Like, they always talk about the apolitical, non-partisan nature of the Supreme Court. That's why they have lifetime appointments, right? That's why they talk about how this is an institution devoid of politics. It's like there's never been an instance where the Supreme Court is devoid of politics. It is the most political institution. Or even worse than that, just, you know, liberal capitalism usually. At least now more Americans are aware of that, because you just ask the question, oh, what is this Supreme Court going to actually genuinely abide by the Constitution? No, they're not. 10 Democrats in the Senate, including John Ossoff, by the way, which was kind of shocking to me. Mark Kelly, of course, predictably. But John Ossoff, too, voted in favor of this. It voted so that it would have a filibuster-proof majority. Fetterman promised to never vote to harm dreamers because his wife, Giselle, was a dreamer. He has shattered that promise by backing the Laken-Riley Act. Yeah. Fetterman-Britt partnership is fueling the Laken-Riley Act. Britt asked Fetterman to join her bill. He did immediately, and more D's followed. Friendship goes back 2 years. She visited him at Walter Reed. Text chain with them as spouses. He calls her husband the big unit. She didn't have to twist any arms or do any convincing, Fetterman says. To be the first Democrat to step out of the way, we need to do something. I think it's been tremendous, Britt says on Fetterman. Fetterman was the only leftist grifter. No, that's not how it works. He didn't grift to the left, chat. He went right wing. It's not about what your starting point is. That's why I always say you only grift to the right. You only go right wing. And I don't even think he's a grifter. I think his brain melted. Like, I unironically think he stroked out into conservatism. And that's not speculation. Like, that's something that he volunteers. I genuinely think brain damage made him conservative. He said as much on the Bill Maher show. Jackson Hinkle is a left-wing grifter, you say. Except Jackson Hinkle is anti-trans, anti-gay, anti-Semitic. Like, what are you talking about? That's the problem. Do you understand?
The doctors within Hirschfield said that it was burned down because the Nazis had all of their private information in the institute because they were...
That's why they burned it down. I thought they burned it down because they were trying to start...
The only source on record from within the hospital said they burned it because the Nazis were all going there. I mean, why would they not burn any other one in Germany? Why would they not attack...
This is so... I'm sorry. I gotta give him credit. This is the funniest and most creative way, I guess, do Holocaust/Nazi denialism. It's something that I've never heard before. He's saying that the Nazis were all trans and gay, and that's why they burned the largest like medical research conducted globally at the time on trans people, to cover up the evidence that they were all gay. That's awesome. These people get more prominence when they go right wing on key issues. In order for someone to quote unquote grift to the left, there needs to be a lot of support for leftist politics. There needs to be monetary support for left wing politics. There isn't. So it's incredibly stupid to grift to the left. You don't get anything out of it. People sometimes arrive at more progressive politics due to their own personal circumstances, where they develop a better understanding of the things other people go through or change their minds or whatever. But there's usually a penalty associated with it. That's why for every one guy that is like financially successful to this degree, there are a million right-wingers that would literally kill me in a money spread. Okay. Why would you grift to the left? The left are an eclectic group of people who are just like constantly angry at one another over minor differences in opinion or misunderstandings.
Here's Laken Riley.
Yes.
Her murder, her horrific murder at the hands of this illegal migrant who was also unlawfully paroled in the United States. Her death, not an actual issue?
It's a tragedy.
But not an actual issue?
Migrant crime is much less of an issue than U.S. citizen committed crime.
Not an actual issue? Those are your words. Her death, not an actual issue. I just want to get no.
Like, dog, you know what he means. Oh, God, browbeating over this. Like, hey, when the right does it, though, it's not woke, okay? It's only annoying when SJWs do this, okay? Weaponizing a misunderstanding on purpose. The broader point still holds, okay? Albeit an awful tragedy. The only reason why you're talking about it is because you want to weaponize this tragedy to create a completely fabricated notion that undocumented migrants are responsible for a lot more crime that they're actually responsible for per capita. It is ridiculous. Oh, it's so shameless. It is so shameless. It's so up. Just browbeating over this left and right. Oh my God, I hate it.
You're here as a spokesman for the minority party. I just want to make sure the record's clear on this. The spokesman for the minority party is advising the Senate that the Laken Riley Act is a bad idea and we ought to stop it. The spokesman for the minority party is saying that Laken Riley's death and migrant crime is not an actual issue. I can't frankly believe that I am hearing these words. You said it's not an actual issue. I read you the quote.
Laken Riley's death was not an actual issue.
You said that the murder of a nursing student in...
Oh my God, I hate this so much. Holy moly. Oh...
in Georgia has a lot of people on the right talking about migrant crime. You put it in quotation marks, square quotes, like it's an actual issue. She's dead because of migrant crime, right? Let's try something else. Here, do you know who this is?
I can't watch this. This is pissing me off. This is pissing me off. I can't do this.
Local radio host Javi has American citizenship, but many of his listeners are undocumented.
Sé que hay muchas dudas, sé que hay muchas preguntas por parte de ustedes. Entonces, hoy, ¿qué les parece si abrimos el micrófono para que nos platiquen un poquito de eso?
This radio station allows listeners to share their concerns, as well as tip-offs to avoid immigration raids. But not all of the Hispanic community is against what Trump stands for.
¡Hola, Filiberto!
¿Qué pasó, Filiberto? ¿Cómo estás?
Aquí riéndome de ustedes.
¿Por qué riéndote de nosotros?
No, porque el que está preocupado, dicen que el migrante no, el que está preocupado es el ilegal, el mantenido. El migrante, nosotros las personas decentes, los ciudadanos que nos hicimos y todo, no tenemos miedo, al contrario, estamos orgullosos que va a llegar el justiciero mayor.
El justiciero, oye, pero a ver.
If this guy turns out to be undocumented, I'm shutting this off. If it turns out that he has an immediate relative that's undocumented, I'm shutting it off. I'm shutting it off. I can't deal with this right now. Wait, he already said he is undocumented? Oh my God. Wait, did I miss that part?
¡Hola, Filiberto!
¿Qué pasó, Filiberto? ¿Cómo estás?
Aquí riéndome de ustedes.
¿Por qué riéndote de nosotros?
No, porque el que está preocupado, dicen que el migrante no, el que está preocupado es el ilegal, el mantenido. El migrante, nosotros las personas decentes, los ciudadanos que nos hicimos y todo, no tenemos miedo, al contrario, estamos orgullosos que va a llegar el justiciero mayor.
El justiciero, oye, pero a ver, el justiciero...
This is a debate high on emotion and low on facts. Trump's campaign promises were vague, and Javi is skeptical about the impact there will be this time round.
Son solamente 4 años de administración. Somos muchos millones en este país. No, tendrían que contratar a muchos.
My dad is like this dude. He believes Trump's doing the right thing. My mom was undocumented when he met her. Dude, I listened to the report from the New York Times this morning over the Nicaraguan lady who was undocumented, who was talking about how she knows other undocumented people that have been in the United States for like 10 plus years at this point. She's been here for 20 years and she couldn't comprehend, like, or she could, but she just could not deal with the reality that like undocumented migrants that have been here for 10 plus years are mad about the newcomers, saying like, what the are you guys doing? Why are you coming in here? There's perhaps no better indication that the American brain rot is set in when you are literally still undocumented on U.S. soil and you think like, oh, all these newcomers got to go. Half the time you can't even speak English and you have this mentality and I'm like, you're American. That's it. You are truly assimilated to the American brain rot where you're just like, yeah, I'm Guatemalan, but all these other Guatemalan have to go. I'm Guatemalan, but I've been here for 10 years. Give me citizenship. Those other Guatemalans. That's wild. It's like, yeah, I'm Guatemalan, but I've been here for 10 years and I hate them. I hate them. Okay. So many people that still don't have citizenship truly think that it is because newcomers, it is because of newcomers that they don't have citizenship yet. They think these newcomers are actually cutting the line. It's like, bro, you cut the line. What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? They're cutting the line. Okay, so did you. You just happened to cut the line 10 years ago. What are you talking about? What an insane statement to make. And a lot of people literally think like that is that's the setback. That they think that if more people stop coming in, that they would just like automatically get citizenship or something. They also falsely assume that this government won't come after them. There's also this other commonly held notion. ICE won't come after them because they're law-abiding undocumented immigrants. They're law-abiding in the sense that like they have jobs, but these other ones that are coming in, they're criminals. It's like they're not. And the people that are making these rules do not distinguish between you and them. You are both undocumented and perhaps more importantly, brown, okay? And also, there is no real reason to deport them either because they, just like you, are not responsible for a larger share of crimes than American citizens are. It was never about crime apprehension and crime detention and lowering the percentage of crime. If that was the case, they'd be focusing on American citizens. Are there any formerly undocumented women that feel this way? Or is it just men being entitled fascist thugs as always? That's so funny to think that this doesn't transcend beyond gender. No, of course there are undocumented women that feel this way as well. What are you talking about? Have you never seen a QAnon abuela? What do you mean? No, there are hella women that feel this way too.
Although illegal crossings at the southern border dropped sharply at the end of last year, the issue helped propel him to the...
There was an NBC video after the election of naturalized immigrants saying that Trump was going to deport the bad illegals, not the good ones. Yeah. The problem there is no such thing, okay? If you are, quote unquote, a bad illegal, as in an undocumented person that did a crime, you already get deported, or depending on the severity of your crime, permanent prison, okay? The notion that the American government does not prosecute significant crimes like committed by undocumented migrants is so idiotic. I don't know where to begin. There are people who unironically think like, oh, when you're an undocumented migrant, they let you do the crime because they're woke. The police are woke. The federal agents are woke.
At a moment of political division, Bakersfield Hispanic community is pulling together. Raul and his family are attending a parade for the Virgin of Guadalupe, the patron saint of Mexico. It's a tradition which connects people from across Latin America, at a time when many feel they are being singled out.
El 90% está sentida, pero más que nada que cómo se siente, tienen miedo, tienen temor que separen a las familias, que el esposo vaya a trabajar y ya no...
1 in 15 families in the United States of America is a mixed status household. 1 in 15. Remember that.